Hey everybody, Brad C. here. If I had 15 minutes to convince an atheist that Christianity was true, this is exactly how I would do it. If I were in a burning building or certain death was coming in 15 minutes, this is my plan. Now, if I had plenty of time, I would start with my rib video, which I will put a link in the description, and I would cover that in detail, let them soak all of that in, get that pebble in their shoe, and then I would take them to my video, Symbolisms of the Cross, links in the description, and I would take them step by step through the Old Testament and show them how many symbolisms of Jesus and the cross there are. In fact, there are over 300 prophecies of Jesus coming, and I'll put links in those to the description. But all of this takes time. And then finally, I would start on each side of my family, my grandmother on each side, and I would show them the sacrificial love of Christ that they had in their hearts, not only for our family, but for our community. Everybody was welcome. Everybody was taken care of. Sacrificial was their way, and they were reflections of Jesus. And then I would talk about my parents. Same thing. Sacrificial lambs showing Jesus perfectly. I always said God knew I need all the help I could get because I had the absolute perfect grandparents, aunts and uncles. I can't even name a cousin that's not a strong Christian. I'm the weakest Christian in my family by far. Let's get into it though without further ado. First, I would quickly rehash my rib video. If you're not familiar with that, I would say, I want to turn to Genesis chapter 2, verse 21, and it's going to say, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to come over Adam, and while he was asleep, now I'm paraphrasing here, while he was asleep, God removed a rib, and he closed up the flesh thereof, and he takes the rib, and he makes a woman. Now, that is a surgery, folks. That's a clear-cut surgery. Anybody that reads that knows that's a surgery. Now, how did that creator know a few things? Number one, of your 206 bones in your entire body, only one regenerates. Can you guess which one? Yes, the rib. Only one. You cut your finger off, it's gone forever. You remove a rib correctly, it'll regrow perfectly and completely. Link in the description to that video. It's a powerful video. And we also know that through bone marrow transplantation, you can actually regrow entire organs. I'm not talking about cloning, I'm talking about regrowing organs. So if that's possible, using these stem cells from inside the rib, and there are 5 harvesting sites for stem cells. You guessed it, the rib's one of them. So it appears our Creator knew a few things about making human beings. And science is going to have to admit that very soon. The rib is a powerful, powerful piece of evidence. So put that in your arsenal and be able to use it. It's step one. So I'm going to quickly rehash that with them. And then I don't have time to go through all the symbolisms of the cross in the Old Testament. I'd love to show them my entire video, but that video is like 45 minutes long. So what I would do is I would skip to the most powerful smoking gun in the entire Bible, and that is Psalms 22. Yep. It's tucked neatly behind the most widespread quoted passage of the Old Testament there is. That's Psalms 23, or as you know it, the famous 23rd Psalms. Everybody knows the 23rd Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Most of you probably have it memorized or could come close to saying it. But tucked neatly behind that, all that good news that comes in Psalms 23, all that protection and how we just, it just makes us feel so good to read Psalms 23. But what was going on in Psalms 22 before all this? Well, there was some serious suffering going on. Now, Psalms was written by David, King David, as we know, and we don't know exactly when it was written, but what we do know is it was written way before Jesus, and most scholars will put it about 1,000 years before Jesus was walking this earth. And no scholar is going to put it after Jesus. That wouldn't make any sense. David obviously had to be way back in the past because Jesus is an ancestor of his. Jesus came from him. Anyways, the point is, everybody knows that Psalms was written before Jesus. So Jesus, while he was on the cross, I believe it was Matthew 27, verse 45. He cries out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, Jesus cries this out while he's on the cross. This is one of the last things he cries out. And next he says it's finished. Why would he do that? You know, a lot of times as Christians, we think, why would he say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? You know, that sounds weak. It sounds, you know, a lot of preachers will say, well, that means that the Father had to turn his back on him during this time and punish him for the sins of mankind. Well, true, Jesus did take on the punishment for the sins of mankind. That's all true. But what he was doing here was he was quoting a passage. You see, that exact verse can be found in Psalms 22, verse 1. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? So Jesus quotes a passage from the Old Testament. Now, imagine you're on the cross and you have just went through the beatings of flagrum. You've went through the cross. People have been spitting on you. You know, Jesus even said, forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. And he's being the bigger person, but he even goes to the lengths of quoting from the Old Testament. He's trying to hint to them, you know, guys, you might want to look back. This was all prophesied. It was all predicted clearly, step by step. This whole cross that I've been on right here, turn back to Psalms 22 that I just quoted to you. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? And you'll see that this was all planned, clear as a bell. So let's turn back to Psalms 22, and I'm going to read it to you. And wait till you hear it, because you're going to have chills go down your spine. If you don't, you're lying. Now, this is what Psalms 22 says. I'm going to kind of emphasize some of the verses that are pretty obvious. They're talking about the crucifixion. But here we go. 1,000 years before Jesus was on the earth, David writes, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me, and from the words of my roaring? O my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not, and in the night season, and am not silent. But thou art holy, O thou that inhabitest the praise of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded. And so far, okay, I don't really see anything. Here we go. But I am a worm, and no man, a reproach of men, and despised of the people. All they that see me laugh at me to scorn. They shoot out the lip, they shake the head, saying, he trusted in the Lord, that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, and there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me. They gaped upon me with their mouths, as a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth unto my jaws. And thou hast brought me into the dust of the earth, for dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierce my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones. They look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them, and cast lots upon my vesture. But be not far from me, O Lord, O my strength. Haste thee to help me. Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me upon the horns of the unicorn. I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Ye that fear the Lord, praise him. All ye that are the seed of Jacob, glorify him and fear him. all ye seed of Israel, for he hath not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither hath he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard. My praise shall be of thee in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise the Lord that seek him. Your heart shall live forever. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Lord, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations. All they that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none shall keep alive his own soul. A seed shall serve him. It shall be counted to the Lord for a generation. They shall come and they shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he hath done this. You see what happened there. Now, just look at a few of these verses. He feels like a worm. No man, a reproach of men, despised of the people. It says, and they laugh me to scorn, shoot out the lip, and shake the head, saying, he trusts in the Lord, he deliver him, let him deliver him. Seeing he delighted in him, he was poured out like water, and all his bones are out of joint. And that's what happens when you're crucified. His heart's like wax. Of course, we believe he eventually had a heart attack. My strength is dried up like a potsherd. His tongue cleaveth to my jaws. That's exactly what you'd feel. You had no water. And they gave him vinegar when he asked for something to drink. And it says, dogs have compassed me. Dogs always refer to Gentiles. And then the lion would refer to Judah or the Jews. So both the Gentiles and the Jews would be right there. They pierced my hands and my feet. I mean, how much more obvious can that get? I'm going to do a complete passage on that because there are some questions about whether that's as a lion, they mauled my hands and feet. But either way, obviously, it's very clear they're attacking his hands and his feet. I may tell all my bones, no bones were broken of Jesus. And then such an obvious one, they part my garments among them, cast lots upon my vesture. Now keep in mind that this passage is going to go start to finish. Redemption to the end. At that point, Jesus said it is finished. But the story is not going to end there. The story is going to end in the end times. Now, don't spend your time worrying about when the end times are. When they come, they come. But when they do, all these things that they're talking about at the end of the passage are going to come into play. See, the Jews, they don't accept Jesus as the Messiah, mainly because he did not fulfill the things we see here at the end. He fulfilled the things at the beginning. He was crucified, but he did not fulfill the, all this stuff at the end where every knee's going to bow and, he's going to basically sort of not militarily but powerfully take over the world. Everybody's going to accept him as king. So this is prophesied here, but that's not come true yet. You got to have a little bit of patience sometimes. Everything can't happen right in your time frame. So bottom line, you have just shown this person something written 1,000 years ago, predicted clearly what was going to happen. And in my opinion, Jesus was basically saying checkmate to the devil. He's saying, look, this was all planned. Because back then, among the Jews, the learned Jews, the ones that knew their Bible inside and out, they wouldn't quote a whole passage. They would just quote the first line. And then everybody there would know, oh, okay, he means the whole passage. And you'd know the passage because everybody had it memorized. It would take too much time to discuss things any other way. So what Jesus was doing is he's giving them some clear evidence. You should have looked back, and I'm sure some of them did. Sure, some of them were saved. But I've talked to Jews online. You show this to them, and they want to nitpick around about this verse or that verse, how it doesn't fit perfectly. You read that whole passage and tell me that's not Jesus on the cross. David was talking about his own experiences, but his own experiences were prophesying. God is able to use someone's own life, their own free will, and through their life be able to show what's going to happen in the future. That's supernatural, folks. We can't do that. Nobody can do that except God. That's what proves he's God. He's able to work over time. You see, God created time. He created everything. He's able to work over time and put his plan in place. As soon as Adam and Eve sinned in the Old Testament, they ate of the forbidden fruit, God had a plan in place. He's got this covered. Some people say he could have sent an angel or there could have been another way, but I don't think so. Because Jesus, as a human, God took human form. How he did that, we don't know. But Jesus, as a human, he prayed to God. He said, if there's any other way, let's do it. Jesus obviously did not want to go to the cross, but he said, said, "Your will be done." That is the perfect example of a Christian. We have to sometimes say, "Hey, I want it this way, God, but your will be done." And of course, once you get them to have that aha moment, then you need to quickly present the gospel to them that, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And in a split second, someone can realize that and they can put their trust in that. And then they can be saved. And don't get the idea that just by saying some sentence you're saved. It is something of the heart. Just like I can't explain the supernatural way that God is able to work over time. I can't explain the supernatural way that God's able to know your heart. But just think of if you were a master of computers and you were going to download a computer, you'd know exactly what's on it. No one's going to fool you. You're a master of computers. God's a master of hearts. He built them. So if you put your faith and trust in him, he knows. Hopefully this has been able to help you. And even if you don't get that chance, the 15 minutes, be happy. You got way more than 15 minutes. You got hours and days and years to be working on people. And start with that rib video. It'll put a pebble in their shoe they won't be able to get out. And then slowly work on them on the symbolisms of the cross. That's powerful. Each one of them is going to put more and more of a pebble in their shoe, and pretty soon they're just limping around. They're like, my goodness, this is getting overwhelming. There's so many symbolisms. I mean, can this just be coincidence? And of course, they're going to say, you're looking for these things. As a Christian, well, you're just looking for those. And it's true. If you're looking for something, you will find it. But this Bible reeks of Jesus in the Old Testament. I mean, the whole thing is just filled with prophecies about him, about the crucifixion. It just is. So the proof's in the pudding. Get a Bible out and start reading the Old Testament. You'll find that it's true. All right. Make sure you like, subscribe. You can check me out at bradctv.com.